What's good, fellow outcasts and other rejects? It's Nier here, and welcome to WTC, the Anime Outcast. First off, if you're new here, we upload anime what-ifs based around My Hero and other shows alike. Secondly, did you know 80% of our audience isn't subscribed? So if you want us to continue making good content, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video, shall we? Where we last left off, our nanite-generating hero had just entered UA's core building to take the entrance exams. We're not going to dwell on this too long, as nothing too interesting happens. The written portion of the test goes well for Izuku, as his technopathic powers make it somewhat easier to study. But after that, all candidates are loaded onto buses and sent to the physical exam areas. As their students march into the sprawling city, the infected hero takes note of his competitors. Some seem more ready than others, while a few catch his eye. One of them, the girl he briefly met outside UA campus, starts stretching, but fits into a less ready campus students. At first, the green cyborg thinks he should go up and say hi to her, as their last interaction was beyond awkward. As he attempts to approach her, armed with a friendly smile, someone else draws his attention. A rather dapper young man focuses on Izuku, but he seemed to be multitasking, as he had this waist-mounted support item which he was tweaking. Do I know you? Deku nervously mutters to the blonde stalker. He stares at him as if he was looking for a familiar friend.
No, I'm merely scoping out the competition, like yourself,
explains the Frenchman, offering a hand to his future classmate as a gesture of no ill intent. Despite his forced accent, nothing else about the boy seemed foreign. But as the green-haired teen shakes his hand, another student passes them, one less hospitable. This is not a social event. If you're here to just make friends, then I suggest you leave and let someone more serious take your place. The sly remark came from a well-built examinee with dark blue hair. Izuku doesn't really get a good look at the teen, except for the back of his head as he passed through the crowd. Before he can call out the hidden student to apologize, a loud siren blares. As it echoes throughout the faux city, a horde of murderous machines flows into the cityscape. Many other competitors eagerly run into the training field, with Midoriya following along. The machinist builds his yet-to-be-named metal legs to get ahead of his peers, using them to leap further into the exam area. He gets a few bounces and a reasonable distance away from the bulk of the people before reaching his first obstacle, the small cluster of one-point robots, known as Victory Villain Bots. One of the examination bots noticed the nanite-infested boy as he landed and deconstructed his build. The autonomous machine charged at Izuku with its right shielded arm raised for a televised slash-like hook. By sheer coincidence, the villain bot had the same opening as the teen's sparring partner, allowing him to duck underneath the attack. Then, under the sharp appendage, the mutant builds a smash fist and strikes the villain bot's lower half. The robot buckles from the blow as it's sent flying back, with Izuku tallying its single point. With his adrenaline high, the nanite factory turns to face the other villain bots as he constructs another fist. But before the teen could even make his next move, a blinding beam of energy zooms past him, burning a hole through the one-pointer. Then thousands of tiny scales shredded through another robot immediately after that. Both ranger tanks came from behind the boy, and at the range he could not compete at. Shit! They're everywhere! The metal builder thinks out loud as he surveys the area. As he can't see everyone, his ears are bombarded with weird noises from all directions. But an idea crossed his mind as he turned to the broken remains of the one-point robot, remembering what someone had told him about friends mere minutes ago. It was able to cover a long distance he wasn't able to, so he could get his hands on one and take control of it. He could use it to his advantage. But the wreckage around him wouldn't work for his plan. His plans takes a few minutes of running and searching, but eventually, Deku finds his perfect target. a 3-point venerator, all on its lonesome, patrolling a small subsection in the area. Well, he's not the best self. It's not too hard for him to get close to the bulky machine and tap into its control by weaving in between the cover. The technopath rides on the back of his companions like a chariot, asking it to locate any nearby villain bots for him. The examination tool spits back and constantly shifts listing of targets, causing the student to make haste. The machine duo blitzes through the city, with the 3-pointer driving Izuku's oversized smash fist into anything it could. The two rack up a score together, picking up smaller pointer machines. They even sniped few from other contestants due to their speed. All is going well for the nanite generator. Well, until a different type of war machine takes center stage. From the back end of the arena comes a foreboding, massive, 0-pointer robot, otherwise known as the Executor class of villain bot. Most examinees flee in terror as it rampages down the tight city street, destroying everything in its path simply because of its size. But as the ground shook violently, Midoriya remains frozen, staring at the massive machine, and remembering thoughts of the past he hoped to move on from. Suddenly breaking free from the monster of his memories, as a scream filled his head. The same young woman from before had been pinned down by fallen debris, forced to watch as everyone else left her for dead. As he searched for an idea, something sparks within the metal builder's brain, like someone plugging up a charger into a socket. Near enough to him is a fallen piece of a building in a vague shape of a ramp, aimed right at the 0-pointer. Acting fast, the green machine ordered his companion to move at the makeshift ramp at full speed. Enacting his master's wishes, the Venerator-class bot revved his engines before speeding forward. The two metal creatures go soaring into the air, with the other students watching in shock. Once the modded machine reached the peak of the jump, Izuku ditched it, leaping off its back to further its height. This gets the nanite hero just at the Executor's chest, to which he uses his smash fist as a foothold, breaking into the robot and locking himself onto it. While desperately clinging onto the chassis of the kaiju mecha, his nanites began to pour in like a faucet, gradually gaining control of the villain bot, allowing Deku to halt its progress completely. After that stressful ordeal, Midoriya waited at his home for his imminent results. He had kept his rough tally of points from destroying the villain bots, and even without the knowledge of rescue points, he was still confident in his score, though he did worry that there may have been a negative scoring system that they may have not been informed about. Though his suspicions would be proven wrong a week later, finally, a pristine white UA letter arrived at his doorstep, given to him by his mother. This next part needs little details. Izuku passed the exam with flying colors, getting him a seat in Class 1A. A school semester should start in a couple of weeks, which we'll be skipping to right now. Izuku runs through the vast halls of the UA building in a fumble to find his new class. As he moves, a strange feeling of nervousness washes over him. He has thought that he's different from those he walked his halls before, but he doesn't know if he's different in a good or bad way. Though, as he finds a massive door with a class designation on it, he bottles up his conflicted emotions and presses on. As he enters the class, two different voices echoed against each other.
I swear, just leave me alone already, would ya?
One roars with a familiar rage. I'll stop pestering you when you gain some respect for those who humbly accept you into their school. The other declared, sounding like the guy who berated Deku for chatting to the Frenchman during the exams. And sure enough, in the middle of the classroom, Bakugo sat with his feet up on the table, or in a screaming match with the navy-haired boy from before.
Come on, Kachan. It's the first day. Why do you already have to make enemies?
The nanite-infected teen mutters, somehow not surprised by the predicament.
Stay out of it, Deku. It's been me and Four Eyes over here.
The dynamite blonde shouts, with plans to keep shouting out the living embodiment of the rulebook in front of him. But the other boy didn't seem interested in the argument anymore, turning his attention to the new arrival. "So your name is Deku?" he asks, causing the human-machine hybrid to become embarrassed.
What? No, that's just a nickname. My name's Midoriya.
"Well, my apologies then. My name is Tenya Ida, and excuse my rudeness during the exam. I tend to get close-minded during such events," the fellow cyborg declared, giving his new classmate a welcoming smile. To save time, we'll swiftly move to the homeless-looking teacher commanding his class to move to the PE grounds. His interactions with Araka is more or less the same. Once the students emerged from the field, adorned in their new PE uniforms, Aizawa informed them that the test they would be partaking in. But this had a mixed reception from the class, with some hyped to show off what their quirks can do, and others not wanting to miss orientation. The heavily in-depth girl brings up this to her new classroom teacher, only to get a stern lecture on how he planned to run his class. Eraserhead called Bakugo up to the front, telling him to throw a softball using his quirk. It takes a second of thought, but the sweating student steps up to the plate with a broad grin. With an ear-shattering display, Katsuki blasts the ball through the air like a mortar firing a shell.
Die!
His peers become wide-eyed at the raw, almost feral power the team displayed. Except for Izuku. He's more than accustomed to the relatively deserved praise his frenemy gets. And with that showcase, Aizawa starts the exam, while giving the new student an incentive to do well. Whoever scores last place in the exams will be expelled on the spot, without hesitation. Now to us, the viewers, not all sections of the exams were known to us, so we'll briefly touch upon the ones that we do indeed know of. Starting with the 50-meter dash, Midoriya performs better than his classmates, who have powers that impact movements. He gets a solid 5.32 seconds using his natural legs. Similarly, the Machine Factory does far better in the standing long jump, easily clearing it. Then for the grip test, instead of simply hacking in the measure, our hero crushes it using his Smash Fist. So while Aizawa isn't happiest about destruction of UA property, he does factor it positively into the student's score. Finally, we have the ball throw. The Green Machine goes back and forth on how he wants to tackle this, eventually landing on a more experimental idea. Since throwing the softball with a metal mitt isn't the most optimal strategy, he attempted to adapt. With the industrial-grade motors inside his Smash Fist, he turned them into a form of flywheel cannon. The gun is more or less a prototype from different builds, but it's exactly what our protagonist needs. With the built-up kinetic force, the ball shoots up from the round of the Gauss cannon. This gets the machinist a solid 686 meter-ish. After the exam events conclude, the class is rounded up to go through the exams by the seasoned teacher. The machine-infested boy is pretty confident on his performance, as he could at least visually match or outperform many of his peers to the task. The gruff hero uses his advanced phone to project a scoreboard of results, list from best to worst. As Izuku searches through the list, he finds himself in position number 6, just ahead of Shoji. And at the very bottom of the list sits Minoru Mineta. All eyes lock on the grape gremlin as he starts to cause a scene, begging his new teacher to let him stay. This gives Aizawa a sadistic glee before he starts to chuckle to himself. "Do you really think I'd be allowed to expel a student on the spot like that?" The grungy man mumbles, leaving most of the class stunned to some extent. Then, without further explanation, Shota dismissed his class. As Eraserhead attempted to walk back to the main campus building, All Might appeared from behind a random corner.
Quite a promising class this year, eh, Aizawa?
exclaims Toshinori, adorned in a bright yellow formal suit. But his fellow staff member takes a second to reply, looking all might up and down. I wouldn't say that just yet. Is there any particular reason why you were watching my class from behind that corner? Asked Jota, causing the other man to release a quiet yet audible gasp.
I was just seeing what I had to work with since, I'm their hero basics teacher.
All Might answered, raising his hands in a gesture of having nothing to hide. Though the quirk restrictor clearly knows a living symbol is trying to cover something, he doesn't press any further. Alright, just don't mess up. The battle-worn hero cautions as he continues on his merry way. And thanks, Outcasts and Rejects, for watching till the end of this video. If this video gets 80 likes in 2 weeks, we'll continue the series. And other than that, if you have any questions about this series or channel, sound off the comments or feel free to join our Discord. And with that, guys, this will be the end of part numero 3. It is Nier signing out. Peace!